Hello, this is English shorthand dictation and the dictation speed is 100 words per minute, which is very helpful for all governmental competitive exams.
5 seconds. Ready? Start. Mr. President, I rise to support this resolution moved by the Honorable Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Many persons of diverse interests and political thought have already expressed their views on this resolution. I wish to confine myself to only a few aspects of this question and that too in as few words as I possibly can. The first and most important question is why this resolution is necessary at this stage. The simple answer is that the enormity and the complex nature of the task with which we are faced is the principal reason why it is necessary to pass such a resolution at this stage. Let us look at the task before us. We are burdened with the task of framing a question which will be suitable for 40 crore people of India, who form one-fifth of the human race. Then again, these 40 crores are divided religiously into Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Jains, Sikhs, and various other sects. One third of the Indian territory is covered by what we call states. We are an anarcho and they are about 516 in number. They again are different and divergent in their economic status. Some of them have an income of only, I am told, less than rupees 100 per year. Again, in the matter of administration, some of these administrations are highly despotic and there is personal rule in other states. We find there is some sort of attempt at constitutional government. Then again, these 40 crores of people inhabiting this land are in various stages of evolution. As we know from the various claims that have already been put forth on behalf of backward classes and tribal areas and so forth. Economically, also we are divided, and while we have some multi-millionaires on the one hand, there are also people who are on the verge of starvation or are actually starving. Administratively, also, the foreign rule is responsible for dividing our country into non homogeneous provinces, and that has again created so many problems with which we are faced. It is for such a large mass of people so divided and also divided and subdivided partly by foreign aggression in pre-British days and largely by British imperialism that we have to frame a constitution which will be suitable or acceptable to many of these elements, or at any rate which will satisfy the needs and aspiration of as many of them as we possibly can. Naturally, when we begin the task of framing a constitution of such a mass of people, these divisions, subdivisions, and cross divisions multiply themselves. There is, in fact, a scramble for securing the interests of this division or that subdivision of this cross division. Many of these interests are mutually conflicting as we have seen from many of the views expressed even on the floor of this house. India is a land of ignorance and poverty, and it is very easy in this state of the country to exploit religious fanaticism or for so called political activities of certain people. There is no modern and efficient constitution in the world which is based on a particular religion. The basic principle of every religion is to make a better order of society throughout the world, irrespective of territorial boundaries. We postulate God in order that humanity may be framed into a true and real brotherhood. Religion, which thus starts with the object of raising humanity to a higher and nobler level, is being used as an instrument of perpetrate the worst horror by men against men and for degrading man for the level of a beast. We have before us a problem of such complex and vast nature. We have the problem of antagonism between the Muslims and the Hindus, the antagonism between Hindus and Hindus, the problem of Christians, the Anglo-Indians, the depressed class, the backward classes, the and lastly there is a problem of the rights of women. Every section and cross section thinks of its own individual rights and claims a charter for itself. Sir, I am afraid in the journal scramble for different charters for different sections, the charter for the common man is likely to be lost sight of. This resolution embodies the charter for the common man. As I understand it, the purpose of this resolution is to make it clear not only to all Indians but also to those who are interested in the welfare of the world as a whole. What we purpose to do more than any statement or counter statements of various political leaders either in India or outside. This resolution must satisfy all these who have any doubts regarding our intentions. They should look at this comprehensive statement and feel convinced with the interest of every Indian, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, sex, and social or economic status, will be safeguarded in the future constitution which we proposed to frame. If this does not satisfy those who have chosen to stay out, nothing else can satisfy them. We shall try to be fair and just to every section, but shall also see that we are not coerced into any wrong action by threats of any nature. Having made our objectives clear, we shall march forward with our task and on our way to independence fearlessly, and we shall face all difficulties that may be placed in our path. We shall achieve our goal or independence, and we free independent India will play an important role in stabilizing the world conditions which are in ferment today. With these words, sir, I support the resolution which has been moved by the Honorable Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Sir, in an earlier stage of the debate on this resolution, a representative of my community supported an amendment of Dr. Kunjru for the postponement of this resolution. We now feel that such postponement is no longer valid or justifiable, and this House should proceed forthwith to accept and pass this resolution. This resolution embodies what should be the objective of this assembly. The objective of this assembly is to create and establish a system of government which will give India the status of an independent sovereign state. In accepting this resolution, this assembly will be taking the first step in implementing this purpose by declaring our bill to vest India with complete control and authority in her domestic affair, and to vest her with complete independence of action in the field of international relationship.